Welcome to another presentation of Curtis Jones Writing. I'm in the sixth book, reading all my chapters from each book. This is the third book in the trilogy, Love Endures All Things. This one is entitled The Deep South, Until Death Do We Part. I'm on chapter 7. It's a fairly short chapter because we didn't stay in Prattville very long, which is the title of this chapter, Prattville, Alabama. If you remember last time, we left Bienville, Louisiana because of the threats and the difficulties Stephanie faced at work and the worry that I had that someone had tried to break into the house. And so we thought it best to be on our way. If you enjoy the stories I do, hit the like button and share it with your friends. Let them see and hear it. And if you get in a hurry to hear more stories or you want to buy these books, they're available. You can go to my webpage, which is curtis-jones-books.squarespace.com, and there's a link that'll take you to Amazon where the books are located. Or you can go to my Facebook page, which is Curtis Jones Author Page on Facebook, and it also has a link to take you to Amazon. Both of those sites have some short introductory uh, statements about each of the books that I've written. Of course, the web page has more than the Facebook does. Now let's get started. This is a short chapter. Prattville, Alabama, Chapter 7. Michelle's house is where we went when we got to Prattville. We didn't have a plan as to what or where we would end up or what we'd be doing. We chose to put it into God's hands. Michelle understood that we were going to stay with her until we could find a place and from there decide what to do. We knew that the car was not fit to drive unless it had a new engine installed. The pickup was still in excellent shape, so it became our primary vehicle. After we realized that the car burned out its motor, we used a pickup to look for a house. The pickup got far less gas mileage, so we were more reluctant, or I'm sorry, we were more reliant on the phone uh, before we traveled to see a possible rental house. We got to work quickly to find a house to live. The location of the house would determine or dictate where we were going to live. We were worried about our dogs and Michelle getting along. And Michelle's dogs, she had two or three dogs herself. We had two. We both had Shar-Pei dogs. She had a male and two females, and we had a large male and a single female. Uh, the dogs had been around each other for a few visits, but the Shar-Peis were bred as fighting dogs for the upper crust of China way back when. Our worry was for nothing because they all got along just fine. We held our breath just the same. Dogs can turn on a moment's notice. This would be the first time we decided to rely on God to dictate our path. We prayed that God would allow or would only allow the house he wanted us to move to be very easily and quickly arranged. That would direct us to the town where he preferred us to live. It was a little hard to give up the control we thought we had. Control is always subject to what God's will is, and for that reason, control is an illusion of control that we feel when our will is in alliance with God's will. Stephanie and I had talked about where we wanted to live, but said we would rather go, or rather put it in God's hands. She said she was okay with wherever we ended up, except Dothan. She said she didn't like that town. On the other hand, I liked it just fine. I didn't know why she didn't like Dothan, but we all have our druthers, don't we? We looked in towns west of Prattville and slightly north and east of where Michelle's home was. We found several houses we liked, but there was always a problem that kept us from renting any of them. We traveled up to 100 miles from Michelle's house to hunt houses. We spent 2 weeks hunting for a place to live. It happened that we found a 3 bedroom house with 2 bathrooms. The owner had just finished getting it ready to rent again when we talked to them. We were to see the place and it met the bill. It was not in Dothan, but it was next door in a little town called Kinsey. We decided that since everything fell into place so quickly that just maybe that was what God wanted us to do. We had been looking to buy, but we were both unemployed and we could not depend on any financing. We only had about $20,000 in cash, so going through the bank were were our best hope for acquiring a home. It looked like it looked more and more like we would have to rent. We were resigned to the fact of that. We had talked to 3 bankers before we came to that conclusion. The house in Kinsey came out of the blue and it fell into place fast, and we were able to rent and sign the lease the day we looked at it. It had the look of God's direction to us. The house had a fenced backyard for the dogs. It also had a covered patio for the hot tub. It had a place to park the RV and was in a little town. We didn't like living in cities. We had lived in one in the suburbs of Denver once. The sound of traffic all hours and the sirens blasting day and night, people everywhere all the time. The the little to medium towns were our preferred place of residence. This was the was a fast search and a satisfying outcome for both Stephanie and me. God works in his time and we have to learn to be patient. Thank you for being with me in this presentation. Next presentation will be chapter 8, Kinsey, Alabama, where we ended up after we left our daughter's house. If you get in a hurry, you can go to my webpage, curtis-jones-books.squarespace.com. It's got a link to the books, and you could go acquire this very book. Well, not this one, but one just exactly like it. If you want to have it and read it to your kids and all kinds of things. Anyway, or give it as a gift. You can also go to my uh, Facebook page, Curtis Jones author page on Facebook, and they all have links to take you to Amazon. God bless you and take care until the next time when I present another chapter. Bye bye.